Hi, and welcome back to the 2020 Angry Parent Challenge. Today is day 3, and we have a very important topic today. Not that the others aren't important, but this one, if you take nothing else away from this challenge, this is the one I want you to keep with you, okay? Your thoughts create your anger. We so often think that our circumstances are creating our anger, but it's not that. It's what we think about our circumstances or about the situation that is creating our anger. This happens all the time. And you can do it in an instant, right? You're driving and somebody's driving too fast and you think that, insert road rage word type here. What are they doing? They're dangerous, all those things. But then you might think they're rushing to get to the hospital because their wife's in labor. Now you don't feel so angry because you changed your thoughts. And it's the same thing with our kids. When we are angry at them, what is it that we are thinking? There's a form I created called the Triggers Tracker, and the members in the Create Your Sure Family membership group use that tracker to deconstruct their triggers so that they can rewrite them, right? Dr. David Burns created a list of cognitive distortions, and that's when your brain kind of tries to trick you. And a lot of us do this without even knowing. We label a person as a jerk rather than thinking about what their circumstances might be. We feel frustrated, so then we start looking for things that prove that we have the right to be frustrated, rather than questioning, do I have something to be mad about? Am I overreacting? Could I let this go? We catastrophize, we blow things way out of proportion. The example from the last video that I did, when my oldest was little and he pushed down a little girl, I went straight to, he's gonna be a bully. He was 18 months old. I was being ridiculous. But in that moment, I believed it, and I was scared, and I was reactive, rather than thinking clearly and thinking, he has literally no impulse control. She was in his space. He removed her from her space. Problem solved. This is how 18-month-olds solve problems, right? And many other examples, but I don't want to make this a multi-hour video. So with this information, with the knowledge that your thoughts create your anger, your job is to start being mindful of what you are thinking. This is so hard for some people, for most people. I've been doing it for years, and I still have to do it out loud most of the time because I'm a verbal processor. So I often rope my husband in and I'm like, okay, help me figure this out. And I tell him the irrational thought that I know doesn't make sense, but I know I'm angry about it. And then I say, what am I thinking? What's underneath? Where is the distortion so that I can fix it? I was listening to a podcast, and she had a great way to kind of get there with 2 questions. How did I react? I screamed at the top of my lungs. I slammed the door. I grounded him for a year, whatever it was. How did I feel in that moment? Obviously angry, but what else? Fearful, insulted, disgusted, disappointed, enraged. What was it? What other feelings were there? Like, really become aware of that sensation of being the observer to your feelings and thoughts. And then use that to help you figure out, what was I thinking? What was running through my mind? Possibly the most common distortion, and I've talked about this for years, is should. it's often based on nothing. Some old story, something somebody told you one time, basically just wanting it to be so. We create all kinds of shoulds. He should behave like this, or shouldn't, right? He shouldn't talk to me like that. Based on what? What is that based on? Where's the validity in that? But you believe it. If you say it, you believe it. You say, he shouldn't talk to me like that. So you believe that's a fact. Therefore, he is wrong. But you know what? He doesn't have tone regulation yet. Developmentally, he has very little control over his tone. He's irritated and frustrated. How do you sound when you're irritated and frustrated? He sounds the same. You're an adult and you can't control it. In what world should a child be able to control it better than an adult? So does it really make sense to get insulted because a child had trouble regulating their tone? Not really, right? But then there's the other layer. There's the fear. But if I don't come down on him, he's going to be a disrespectful, disobedient brat. Says who? Some old story, I'm sure. Probably your parents, maybe your grandparents, maybe your aunts and uncles, someone in your family or around you at some point taught you that if parents aren't mean at some point, they don't lay down the law, kids become bad. Kids aren't bad. Kids are these wonderful creatures who are just figuring the world out. They're pretty awkward at it. They make lots of weird choices that don't make a ton of sense to us. Doesn't make them bad. It just means they're learning. Right? You see how that changes the perspective, the feeling of being in that situation? If you can look at that kid and be like, he's having a hard time right now. Wonder if there's anything I could do to help. Or maybe it's not yours to help. Maybe you just notice and you're like, sounds like you need some space. Cool. I'm going to take my tea upstairs. Right? You have that power to not be offended, not take it personally, give them the same gift that your family gives you when you're in a bad mood. Some space, some grace. Right? You can do that. Or you can be offended and fearful and insulted and get really angry. But it's up to you. So what I want you to do is carry around a pad of paper. When you lose your cool, I want you to write down, how did I react? What did I do? What were the circumstances? What was the situation? What was I feeling in that moment? So what was I thinking? And see if there's any other way that you can think about that situation. For those of you using the book for supplemental reading during this challenge, the chapter Perspective will give you a lot of insight on this work. I would love to hear your stories, how you changed your perspective on something, how something helped you to see your kid in a different light so that you could feel peaceful, feel confident, feel calm instead of feeling angry. If you have a hard time with this, you are not alone. Nearly every consultation I do involves some version of this. So if you need extra support, just reach out. There's tons of ways we can do that. You can get me at sammy@sureparenting.com or in the Facebook group, Facebook itself, Messenger, whatever works for you. I'm here to help. Thanks so much for coming today, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.